So rolling with it is what I'm all about. So here it is, everyone. Welcome to the 10 things that you really need to know and do in order to make it as a coach online. My name is Maria Richella, and I'm the creator of the Happy Entrepreneur. And why Happy Entrepreneur? Because I really wanted to be a successful coach and a successful entrepreneur. And as my earring falls, I'll go ahead and take the other one. And I decided to get happy instead, because trying to be successful and over-investing, trying really, really hard to be a six-figure coach, which was my passwords, my goals, everything I had and affirmations all around me for the entire 2014 ended really badly for me. If you haven't been following me for a while, then you don't know that in New Year's Eve 2014, exactly 6 months ago, I had a crying on the floor moment because everything went to essentially, three clients backed out. I was left at rock bottom. I had no money for gas for 3 weeks. So for me to be standing before you and telling you that I have consecutively scored five-figure months and that I'm now over the $62,000 mark for the entire 2015 is truly, truly, truly a story of hope. And it's a story of you don't have to kill yourself over this, but you do have to know certain things that I'm going to share with you today. Okay, so I'll be completely honest with you and completely transparent. These notes that I've put together, they've been in my mind for so long, and I've been putting off doing this webinar because I wasn't there yet. But then suddenly I see so many people struggle with waiting for the perfect time to act, waiting for the perfect tagline, waiting for the perfect name. And I see myself in every single one of you. I was you. I'm still you in so many ways. I'm still you, but I don't want that to stop you. Okay. I really don't want the debt or the fear or the bills or any of that to really stop you from taking the action that's going to reach the people that absolutely need you right now. I have clients that without them even knowing it are stopping people from committing suicide. Without me even knowing, I have people that are quitting their jobs and just being happier wives, happier mothers, increasing the valuation of our consciousness and of the planet. And that's what this is all about. I can guarantee every single one of you 15 people that joined, and that of the 90 people that actually signed up for the webinar, none of you became entrepreneurs because you wanted to be millionaires right away. Like, many of you became entrepreneurs because you wanted to be happier. You hated what you were doing. What you were doing was completely out of alignment with who you really are. So then you tried this, and maybe if you're joining, this is because you're struggling, and that's okay. So what I said in my notes was, if you have tried everything and it's still not working, if you've overinvested, if you're broke and something's not working, then you're probably not doing some of the things I'm going to discuss today, or you may need to start doing some of the things I'm going to talk about. And the first thing I want to talk about is that entrepreneurship is like learning a new language. Okay, English is my second language. My native language is Spanish, and I did not speak English until 15 years ago. I literally came here in 2000 and did not speak the language. So I barely didn't even make it into college here in the US because my English wasn't good. So what I learned about learning new languages is very applicable to learning to be a successful and happy entrepreneur. And here's the analogy. The analogy is that in order for you to be successful at learning a new language, you can't just read the books and read the text and take all the exams and pretend like that's actually going to teach you that new language. That's not how I learned English just great. It took a hell lot of practice and a hell lot of overcoming fears and taking the risk of people laughing at me because I was practicing. So in entrepreneurship, you cannot attend all the seminars, take all the coaching, look at all the webinars and get all the downloads for free and be surrounded by successful people and pretend like you're going to be successful. You actually have to go out there and try. And my friends, this process is very trial and error based, okay? I tell my clients and I tell everybody that you cannot possibly pretend like you're going to be successful out of the gate. Just like when your kids or yourself learned how to speak, just when you learned how to walk, just when you learned a new job, okay? You cannot possibly start a new job or any new career and out of the gate, get it perfectly, okay? Welcome to the trial and error world. That's exactly how you master anything, but you have to be out there and trying. So the first thing I'd like to share with all of you today, and the 10 things that I'm going to recommend for you to know and absorb and live by in order to be a successful and happy coach, is that you have to leave others behind, okay? Oh, I know that one's probably going to trigger many of you, and good, because this is what I mean by leaving others behind, okay? And let me make sure everyone's on mute because I hear a couple of, I think everyone's got it. But anyway, leaving others behind, what do I mean by that? So last year, I had hired expensive coaches. I had already invested over $30,000, and I was still in the same place, in square one. And I got this coach who really changed my life. And what I found deep under the surface is something I see in absolutely almost every single person I have coached or spoken to over the past 2 years. And I'm going to give it to you. So we are wired for belonging. We are wired for safety and belonging, okay? When we decide to step into this entrepreneurial world, you're essentially volunteering to say, you know what, I'm going off on my own, because if you may have not noticed, it's a very lonely path to follow your bliss, to follow your path. Not many people will do that. As a matter of fact, I want to commend you for being part of the 5% that will venture out of the comfort zone, and what society imposes upon us is the norm, the getting the job, the 2 cars in the garage, the house, the job, and the retiring, after 42 years of a career. I'm so thankful and grateful to be sharing space with people that are part of the 5% that are raising their hands and saying, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life, okay? So, but when you do that, you're effectively saying, I don't want to be part of the pack. I don't want to be the queen of that block, right? And that's a very scary proposition to the ego. Okay, your ego wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you where you are and where you've been. So by you saying, I'm going to go my own, I'm going to start my own business, you're threatening the very fabric of your existence. And it wants to keep you safe. So it's going to keep sabotaging you. And it's going to keep saying, oh yeah, I do want to be Oprah, but that means I may not be as accessible. I may not be as available. I may not be able to talk to everyone as I would like. And unconsciously, you're going to stay the same. You're going to stay stuck. Okay. So I have a whole webinar that I did on no more hiding, because you have to break ties with the affiliations that are keeping you where you've been, and you have to lovingly release them and understand that we're all making our own choices, and that you're making a choice to veer off on your own, and that they're making a choice to stay working in their 9 to 5, and they're also making the choice to see that there's no other way, because we all know, we've been there, there is other ways. So if they're happy with that, then you know what, that's fine, but you cannot keep catering to them, editing your posts, watering down your messages, not emailing your list, not creating a list, because you're not trying to upset people. Here's the truth about leaving others behind and not upsetting anyone in our families, in our circles, in our existing tribes. They don't give a shit about you. Okay? Many times, you have no idea how long I held back from posting things on my personal Facebook, and because I was afraid of what would people think of me, whatever. And the truth of the matter is, those people to this day have never once checked in on me or said, congratulations, you're doing great, or you suck. Never, ever, ever. And I was creating this crazy story in my head that if I posted all these things, then I was going to make them uncomfortable, and I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. Well, let that be point number 1 of my webinar today. Those people, they may gossip about you, they may say or think things about you, but they don't care. So stop catering to them. You are here to follow your own path. Your parents never told you that. Maybe some did, maybe some didn't. My dad told me that last year at 32 years old. That's the first time I ever heard my parents say that. So you have to do you, okay? And I want you to live in the land of no regrets. Because even if it's hard right now, I can guarantee you it's not going to be hard forever, okay? The easy way is on the other side of the hard path. I don't know how else to put it, but the hustle, the keeping on, keeping going, keep trying people. I mean, that's just the ramp up stage, but it does, I think the door to the easy way comes behind the ramp up stage of the leaving the jobs or doing all the things that are hard for us that are outside of our comfort zone. Okay. So that's point number one. I could do a whole webinar on it, and I've done it. And if you want a copy of it, message me. Another one that is very important if you really want to make it as a coach is you have to embrace fear, okay? And I call this fear management because I'm still afraid of so many things. Even posting this webinar out there Friday night, 2-3 days to kind of promote it. Would anybody join? But I didn't care, because one of the things I'm realizing is that in order to start a vortex of abundance and action in your life is that you have to listen to your divine guidance and your divine intuition. Okay? So I had the wave of inspiration because I see so many of you stuck, and I need to pay the bills. I need to do this. I need to do that. I don't have my program. I don't have this. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need any of that. What you need is the stuff I'm going to talk about today. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but fear management is something you absolutely need to do, because I'm here to tell you the fear is never going to go away. Okay? Hopefully it will never go away, because fear is something that is just if you're feeling fear is a good thing, because you're stretching out of your comfort zone. And I'm here to tell you that fear, I call it also growing pains. It's like you cannot grow if you don't have growing pains. The growing pains are a part of the growth process. And we're not born to stay little, right? To stay teenagers or children. We're born to grow and evolve. So fear is growing pains. And another distinction I want to make about this embracing of the fear is that there's two types of fear. There's fear where you project the worst, where I'm going to invest in someone and oh my gosh, the worst can happen, blah, blah, blah. Or there's the fear that is excitement, the fear that takes your breath away, that you feel a little constricted or something, but is mostly excitement, is not fear as in something bad will happen. So you have to make sure that you're clear on what type of fear you're feeling. Is it fear of like excitement of like, oh my gosh, what could happen? Or is it fear of like, oh shoot, something really bad will happen? So check yourself, okay? Because the fear of excitement is amazing, right? But sometimes we don't learn to recognize it, and that fear stops us from hitting send, from hitting push, from posting an idea that we're excited about, or from sharing with others. So embrace the fear. It's never going away. I mean, some of my friends are killing it online, and they're afraid. We live in this type of fear/excitement, but there's no guarantees in life. That's the thing. Is the guaranteed for sure is that you're going to stay stuck if you don't do something different. So my next point is about timing. Okay, so you have no idea how much time I waited, how many pages of copy I wrote that I never shared with anyone, because I was waiting for the perfect time to act, or because I was waiting for validation, or I was waiting for somebody to tell me it was good enough. And I'm here to tell you that your greatest asset is time. Time you cannot get back. So the perfect time for any inspired idea you have right now, inspired thought, program, whatever, is now, okay? You have to stop waiting, because there's others out there. Here's the thing. Every single person that is signing onto this call has a different network. You have access to a completely different network that I do. Just because we share 100 mutual friends and we are in the same Facebook group circles together doesn't mean that we are actually competing against each other. We have access to hundreds of thousands of different people in our own networks than you think. So you need to start realizing that you're wasting time and that you're not reaching the people that you're supposed to be reaching if you're waiting for a choir of angels to come down and sing to you in the ear and tell you push, go. No, you're the one we've been waiting for. Like, we're the ones who've been waiting for. And us procrastinating, not putting stuff out there is truly, truly, truly making a huge disservice to you and the rest of the world. For sure. So my point is, the perfect time is always now. And that's also how you create my next point, momentum. Okay, so momentum is extremely important, because momentum equals like a vortex. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with like vibrations and energy and manifestation, but I'm a huge believer that every single day you're meant to be doing something out there that's going to get your message out there, and try not to skip, because in order to build an avalanche of actions, of people contacting you, of clients, of impact, you have to do something every day, right? And that's how we plant seeds. I mean, that's how things grow, right? But you have to act. So I talk about momentous interruptus because I see so many people, myself included, that got me the past 2 months. Like, I built such huge momentum January, February, and March. And then I pulled back some, right? Because I burnt myself out a little bit. And when I pulled back, I pulled back a lot. And then we moved, and then like things just started like drying out completely. And in our industry, we cannot do that. You cannot lose momentum. You can't do that, because in the moment you pull away, 100, 200 more people will come. So you lose your avalanche of action and results and impact. But I'm back. And I'm encouraging you to start momentum in your life. And you only do that by not taking time for granted and not taking your message and the people you're meant to help for granted. Many things will happen to try to stop your momentum. I can guarantee you that. And for that, I recommend that you read The Big Leap, because it talks about upper limiting, sabotaging ourselves, whatever. That's one of my favorite books, and it's enabled me to help a lot of people. But you do have to hustle a little bit to build momentum. And I think many of you are afraid of hard work, as I've been. Okay. But you kind of have to. It's kind of like the rocket fuel takes the most fuel on on takeoff, sorry. It takes the most fuel on takeoff. So it's like going. But then once it's in outer space, then it's just cruising. It's the same for you, and it's the same for me, okay? And I'm sharing this lesson with you because I needed to hear it myself, because I did pull back quite a bit, and it's not good. So if you have built momentum, keep it, absolutely keep it. Do something every day to keep posting, to keep connecting with people. That brings me to my next point. Connection, okay? How do you build raving fans? How do you start creating a following like I feel like I have now, is by being you. And I know that sounds so stupid and so overused, but what are you hiding behind, honestly? The more authentic your message can be, the more people are going to be drawn to you. I will tell you that. But also, you do have to establish human connections. The more people you can get on the phone, the more people you can have a Facebook conversation with, the more people that can comment on you, the more people that you engage, the more seeds you're planting. And guess what happens to seeds? Seeds are planted, they germinate, and then eventually they give fruit. So human connection is a huge part of our business if you want to make it as a coach online. You have to find a way to genuinely connect with people and be of service. Okay, this isn't about business or increasing your income. I think that is the byproduct of being of true service. So being of true service and making true human connections. And if there's somebody that's commenting, there's somebody that's admiring you, pick up the phone and tell them, let's meet. I've done that so many times. And some of my friends I've met that way. And it's not sleazy. It's not, if they think it's that, it's their problem, not yours. I do all my discovery calls and all my sessions as a true means of getting to know people and see if there's any value I can add to their lives. So add freaking value, okay? Just so you know, I'm going to end up with more than 10 because I had one that I had not here that I have to add. So debt, okay? Many of us that have been in this industry for a while accumulated a lot of debt. You know, I know a thing or two about that because I ended up in a really bad financial spot and I'm barely starting to crawl myself out of it. So do you know what debt means in the language of metaphysics? If you don't know, or if you didn't watch my financial shame webinar, debt means that you've taken more than you've given. So if you feel like you've taken more than you've given, then we absolutely, hi, oh my gosh, I figured it out. Wow, this is crazy. Okay, so point number 7 is that if you have a lot of debt, I'm so excited that I was able to get the video to work. So if you've taken more than you've given, that simply means that you've taken, that you need to give more. Right? And if you want to jumpstart your abundance, then find a way that you can give. This isn't just online. This is to your local shelter. This is to friends. This is to family. Who can you help for free? Okay, this will absolutely jumpstart your manifesting like you would not believe. So that brings me to my next point. As you can tell, I'm so excited that I was able to get the video to work. Yes. Okay, so How many of you are going round and round and round and round and round and round in circles waiting for clarity? I wish I could see a show of hands. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot of you. So see, clarity is like dating, okay? I don't think you necessarily need clarity to make it as a coach online, but I'm here to share a couple of things about clarity that will save you. So when we're dating, we're looking for the one, right? Like we are led to believe that there's a one out there for you. And then you start dating and you have a list of what you want and you're not finding it. Okay. What you're saying, you're not really finding it. So then you think you found the one, only to figure out that you're like, no, he needs to be emotionally available. Or maybe that's not really what I wanted. Okay. Maybe I need to tweak my list and add something else. So in coaching, we're looking for this clarity, like it's going to come down from heaven and we're going to get this aha moment and we're going to know in our hearts. No. Okay. No, that's not how it works. It works. You think you know and you try that and then it's going to change. So clarity comes from actually doing, putting what you think is your message, what you think is the one message out there, right? Whether it's helping them with their confidence, helping people get out of corporate, helping women get out of debt, whatever. You put it out there, and then 3 months later, I find the pulse I get from what I see in the people I talk to, it's about a 3 to 6 months, more like 3, where your message is going to change. So don't beat yourself up if your message has changed and you just changed it. That's totally normal. Okay, last year I went through from life coaching to career coaching to then business coaching in a year. And the beautiful thing about what we do is that you can keep evolving that clarity, okay? It's like I said, it's like dating. The more you date, the more clarity you have on what you truly want. But if you're waiting for the perfect message, you're never going to do anything. It's like waiting for the perfect time to act, okay? You're not going to get there. So just take what you have, where you are, what you got, put it out there and receive feedback. If it's not sticking, if it's not clicking, let me know. I can help you tweak it. Like that's one of my favorite things, is engagement, is how to get you to create engagement. But yeah, clarity just comes over time. And there's seasons. Okay. Some people have a year season where they're doing this for a year. Some people like me, it's been historically until I found more of my home. It's been every 3 to 6 months. I'm changing, like shifting, right? What's the next thing I wanted to talk to you about? So money. Oh my gosh. So what does it really take to make it as a coach online in terms of money? So, okay. So I know this is going to sound silly to some, but you have to figure out, number one, you have to read or listen to, don't read, listen to The Science of Getting Rich. It's a 2-hour and 20-minute audio, and every entrepreneur needs to have that YouTube audio on replay in the background, and you need to have it tattooed to your consciousness. Okay? And in that book, and in the many studies that I've done on wealth consciousness, because I find that learning about wealth, especially the mentality of a person that treasures wealth, is the number one thing. And even with that, I've gotten myself in all kinds of financial trouble. But it is important that you realize where money comes from, or where clients come from, or where VAs come from, or where inspiration comes from. It doesn't come from the bank. It doesn't come from PayPal. It doesn't come from clients. It doesn't come from the interweb or the internet or the fanciest marketing. No, the endless supply that is available to you and for me, comes from a different place. For some of you would call it God, some of you would call it universe. But I just want you to know that your supply is not the bank. And this is something that, it may sound really woo-woo to some of you, but you absolutely need to read that book and you need to work on your wealth consciousness. If you want to be a great chef, you study cooking and you spend time cooking, right? If you want to be, a great mechanic, then you study how to be a great mechanic. If you want to have money and keep money, and that's one of the reasons why you became an entrepreneur, then you have to study wealth consciousness. And my favorite books on that are The Science of Getting Rich Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting, and Anything by Mike Dooley, essentially the universe guy. Anything by him. I mean, he is really big on where all this stuff's come from, and he knows that it's not from our minds or from our clients or from PayPal, or no, there's a place that I don't have space or time to explain it, but we all have a different supply, let's put it that way. And God is our source and our supply, essentially. And I know that's a big one to swallow, and it's even, I am woo-woo, but I'm also practical, right? And that one took a long time for me to get, because now I know, and the miracles I've experienced in my life, like even this webinar, have been incredible, because I know that there's an infinite source of inspiration, of clients, of income, but I don't have to be attached to the how it comes, but I have to have a faith, an indomitable faith, a perfect faith almost, that it is all going to work out, and it does. But before, I used to doubt it all the freaking time, all the time, until I got so burned that I had no choice but to trust or go back to a job, and it's worked out. So let's stick for a little bit about this subject of abundance and money and coaching. Okay. Added to that, I want to insert the fact that if you're focused on the lack, on the number of clients you don't have, the number of discovery calls that are not getting booked, the money you don't have to pay your bills, okay? You're focusing on the problem and not enough time on the solution. So one of my suggestions is that you spend time in gratitude, that you spend time in abundance. What makes you an abundant being? Maybe you have an abundance of book, or you have an abundance of clarity, or an abundance of stamina or connections, and you're just not tapping into them. And so focusing on abundance, even if it's 5 minutes a day, even when the appearance of things is lack, you have to have the stamina and the desire to change that. And the best and fastest and cheapest way to do that, I can guarantee you, is to shift your energy. And that brings me to my next point. I did not know much about this until 2 years ago, and a year and a half, but I listened to a book called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And the constant amount of miracles that happen to me and I'm able to facilitate for others is never ending, okay? And it all came from the book, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. Listen to most of the book. It's free on YouTube, okay? What I've learned is that, very much like the Esther and Jerry Hicks of the world talk about, if you're wishing for clients, but you're feeling constrained, you're feeling like spiritually constipated, you're not going to get jack, excuse my language, but you have to put yourself, your mind has to get there before you do, okay? I have a friend that is an Everest climber. She always talks about, before you summit the mountain, you have to see yourself there before your body gets there. It's the same thing. But if you think this is stupid and it's not going to work, and you only have time to worry about where the next client is going to come from, then you're never going to get your next client consistently. Okay, so managing your energy is super important. It's a very, very key. It's key, essentially, to making it as a coach, okay? Because there's times, like, even when I was in my client crying on the floor and not having money for gas for 3 weeks, I mean, thankfully, I would try to carve out and compartmentalize, like, even 5-10 minutes a day, and say, I know this is going to be part of my seminar story. One day I'm going to be talking about this. One day I'm going to be talking about this. One day I'm going to help other people come out of the hole that I was in. And I'm doing it now. And it's only taken like 4 months. But you do have to realize that this stuff works, okay? And if you're spending all your time in lack, you're effed. So shift your focus, even for 5 minutes, okay, onto abundance and gratitude. I'm going to start a gratitude challenge in my Happy Entrepreneur group, because the last time we did that, people experienced incredible miracles of clarity, inspiration. I mean, so much good stuff. So I already talked about Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And look, one of my last 2 points is about loneliness, and about how this path is very lonely, okay? Because, like I said, statistics show that 95% of the people are going to follow the mold. And we're probably one of the pioneers in our families and in our tribes and in our circles. I know for sure I am. That it's going to follow this crazy uncharted path, right? That everybody thinks you're nuts for doing it, because it's so not guaranteed. There's no guarantees. There's no security. So you have to have some kind of support, okay? And I didn't have this until this year, but I have 2 or 3 people that are friends, online friends. I've never met them in person, but I chat with them every day. We go back and forth. We trust each other. And it started as a mastermind. So I will encourage you to form a mastermind of 2 or 3 people that you can bounce ideas off of, that you trust, because this is a very lonely path. I have gained about 25 pounds since I became an entrepreneur. Well, I was pregnant, I had a baby, and then instead of losing weight after having the baby, I started gaining weight, because the unknown is so huge, right? And I spent so much time last year just focusing on building the business, and six figures that I didn't take enough time out for myself. So that shifted some this year. I'm still heavily working on taking better care of myself. Okay. But know that if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling, like there's something wrong with you for not getting going, it's because you need more push, you need more support. I mean, once we cut community out and leave others behind, it gets really lonely, but it's part of the soul journey that entrepreneurship is. I tell people all the time, entrepreneurship is a journey to learn to love ourselves unconditionally, because the minute you step into entrepreneurship, all your stuff is going to come up, your doubts, your fears, your insecurities. That's what you have to live with the first couple of years, and know that there's nothing wrong with you. It's just your ego trying to hold you back and telling you, no, stay where you are. You're crazy. You're not going to make it. You've never made it. But it's not true. It's just, that's what we all go through. Okay. So just make it normal. Like, don't let it stop you, essentially, because it's just, if you learned about the different entrepreneurial stages, had I known this, I would have been more empowered. But what I learned is that the first year and a half to 2 years is characterized by worrying about money, fears, doubts, insecurities. Okay. But to work those through faster, try not to pay attention to them and just hit send, keep hitting send, keep hitting post, keep hitting submit. I want to talk about finding your voice. Okay. My last 2 points are about finding your voice and patience. I didn't have patience last year. I wanted Gina DeVee and Goddess Business School and everyone to tell me what to do. Okay. I wanted everyone to tell me what to do. And I wanted to do it quick. Okay. Get rich quick. And what I realized is that I was putting my trust outside of myself, and it wasn't pretty. It really wasn't pretty. And I'm a very smart woman, academic wise. I even have an MBA. I speak 3 languages. I've been featured in the Financial Times. I had a very successful corporate career, you name it. And yet I didn't have the mind to stop myself and over investing, because I just wanted somebody to tell me really quick how to get to 6 figures, because that was my new normal. When in reality, what I wanted to do after I quit corporate was to make $1,500 a month. And then I started looking at all the ads online and everybody doing it. And I'm like, well, I'm as smart as they are. I can do it. So quickly I switched from $1,500 to $2,000 a month to be happy coaching to, I got to make 6 figures. That means I have to make $8,300, 8,333 every month. My goodness. And I changed. I stopped being me, and I put someone else's goals on me and someone else's success and ambitions on me. When in reality, what it did is that it totally closed me, and it landed me in a really difficult spot for me and my family. And they didn't know, which was the hardest part, because I had to walk through the shame and the guilt of confessing that I had no way to go but to them to ask for help, and then hustle my rear end off to grow my business. So I'm telling you this kind of heavy part because we need patience, okay? All the seeds that I planted last year, even though they didn't grow and evolve into like a high-end paying client or whatever, they've paid off this year. So this isn't a get-rich-quick business, okay? You have to build your trust. You have to build your know factor, like Jen Scalia talks about, one of my good friends. Know, like, trust. And in order for those 3 factors to build so that people can easily and effortlessly pull out the credit card and tell you, here, transform my business, help me change, help me navigate this path easier. It takes time. It takes a little bit of time. So intelligent waiting is another way that I called patience. Planting the seeds. You do what's in front of you every day. If you're in overwhelm, chunk it down. Just do what's required of you today. That one thing today, but just do one, okay? I find that the overwhelm paralyzes us sometimes and we don't do anything. But again, that's normal first and second year. Just find a way to do one thing that's required of you today. And my friends, I'm going to talk about, last but not least, about voice. Okay, finding your voice. Because what I found is that this held me back for the longest, and this holds most people back for the longest. So how do you find your voice? It's very similar to how you find clarity. You have to go with what you know right now, where you are with what's coming through you. The only way you're going to find your voice is by trial and error, by posting things out there, blogging about what you're inspired to blog. And little by little, you're going to know what is more magnetic. Okay. But the problem with not having a voice right now is that you think you don't have one because you haven't found it, which is not true. It's something that you build. It's something that you discover. The more you speak, the more you say things. The more I've gotten out there to help people or to speak or to just say what I'm thinking, the more confident I've gotten and the more clear I've gotten. Like even the happy entrepreneur was born when I was on the floor crying for 3 hours. Because I was like, I just want to be happy. I quit my job, all that stuff, not to create this drama in my life, but because I just want to be happier. I was tired of meetings and corporate for 9 years. So I have slowly but surely found more of my voice. I am sure there's so much more to discover. And I'm sure there's so much more to you and your voice than we've seen and we've heard so far. But it takes time. It takes time. Okay? I help my clients accelerate the finding the voice process because I get inside their heads and I pull out what they're all about. But it takes a mirror a lot of the times for you to find that voice quicker. Okay. And so, my goodness, you know what I'm realizing? I'm realizing that Zoom has a 25 capacity, I think, and only 25 people were able to join live. But anyway, I'll send the recording out. I am encouraging you now to send me some questions via the chat box at the bottom of the screen. If you have any questions you'd like me to address, real quick, to recap, what are the essentials for you to make as a coach online? You have to break up with the affiliations or the tribes that are keeping you small and in your old place. You have to go out and find new people and find new tribe and know that it's okay, that they're making their choice to stay where they are and that you're making your choice to take off in a new direction. And fear management, the fear is never going away. You just sort of have to learn to live with it and know that many times it's more excitement than it is actually projecting the worst. And nothing bad will happen to you anyway. So I talked about time being your greatest asset is not money, is time. What are you doing with your time right now is the greatest asset. Clarity is like dating. You're not going to find the clarity. You have to keep dating. You have to keep trying until you've landed in a sweet spot. And then it's going to change 3 to 6 months down the road because that's just the nature. I talked about momentum. If you start momentum, keep it. Do what you need to do. Get support. I know what it's like to build momentum and then feel so tired you kind of let go. So now that I'm building momentum again, I just interviewed somebody to help me earlier on today to keep up with social media and to do the things that before I let go because I was tired, right? So find a way to manage that momentum and keep it going because that's what creates a vortex of abundance. I talked about source and supply, like God is your source and supply, or the universe is not PayPal or the bank. And you have to work on your wealth consciousness through books. I'm going to send out a list of those books that have changed my life. It's 2 or 3 of them. That's it. Daily focus on the abundance because you're just focusing on the money you don't have or the clients you don't have. Guess what you're keeping as your reality? Little clients, not a big, you know what I mean, right? So you have to make it your daily chore that you are focusing on abundance. What is abundant in your life, and what can you give gratitude for? And because vibrations do matter. If you want clients, but you're worried and you're in fear, you're not going to get anybody anyway. So you do have to manage that. Those vibrations and that energy is extremely important. It is a lonely path to be an entrepreneur, so get a mastermind going, people you can bounce ideas off of and talk every day by text or Facebook message. And you know what? Patience, intelligent waiting. Know that you cannot see what's around the corner, my friends. All the effort that you've put in, webinars you've done, the people you've talked to, it's all paying off. Just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean it's not going to pay off. So finding your voice is the last thing I talk about. It comes with time. It comes with testing it out. So listen, you have to practice. You have to put yourself out there. And I didn't know what I was going to do at the end of the webinar, but what I decided to do is that if you're at a point where you don't think you're going to make it, I want to talk to you, because I know I can pinpoint what the missing piece is, and I can give you some suggestions on how to turn it around. So for 10 people that want to get on the phone with me for 20 minutes, I'm going to send you a link. Okay, so I'll just figure out how to, anyway, I had a MailChimp mishap, but I will send a link to the replay. And then if there's any of you that want to get on the phone with me and me examine what's going on in your business and why it's not taking off yet, I'll be so happy to give you a push. No strings attached. Absolutely not. I really do believe, especially since I am in this momentum building again, that I want to give as much as I can. So I'll be happy to talk to you. 20 minutes is what it takes me in order to drill down into something. We can talk for 20 to 30 minutes. And I just want to thank you. I really do want to thank you for your honesty, I hope that this webinar was of service to you. I'm going to type up the notes. I had a few things that I added there that were not in my original notes. So thank you so much for being here. And please be authentic, be honest, have authentic goals. Don't put someone else's goals on you, and know that the more people you talk to, the faster you get out there, as imperfect as you are, is all that's required of you right now. Okay. And just because you don't see the results right away doesn't mean it's not working. It is working. Okay. Do you know how long bamboo takes you plant bamboo? It takes 7 years to break through the ground. And then once it breaks through the ground, it goes up like 14 feet in 10 days or a week. It's the same with us. So all this groundwork that you're doing, it's totally paying off. Okay. But if you want to accelerate it, or if you don't know what the heck is not working, let me know and we'll get on the phone. Okay. So I have a question that just came up. Excellent. Thank you so much for the comments. Yeah, don't do it alone. Anyone else, do you have any questions? Can you type your question in the chat box? Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I've been seeing some messages that more people wanted to log in, that there was space in Zoom. So, hey, we're all still learning, so it's not a big deal. They can get the replay and they can watch. So I just want to thank you for your time here today. If there's anything I can do to support you, please let me know. Since I don't have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Thanks for hanging out, and keep riding the wave of inspiration, because that's what's going to start the vortex of clients, success, inspiration, ideas, and success and ultimate happiness, which is what you wanted in the first place. Okay. Sending you so much love, and I hope to speak with you very soon. Bye.